Tanjiro gets a new rice breathing technique. Old Webhead is doing Take Your Daughter to Work Day. Time to pre-order another Fallout. Netflix launching superhero universe as slow as possible. All this and more on Cutting Edge Hero Live. Welcome to Cutting Edge Hero! I am the Nerd King, Danny Stewart, your host for this and every episode of Cutting Edge Hero. Joining me today, the perfectly beautiful, alluring, and interesting Landon Felter. Landon, how you doing?
I'm doing as fantastic as always.
And also joining us for the first time, but certainly not the last time, our new co-host, the queen of nerddom herself, Jennifer Johnson. Jennifer, glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. How have you been?
Great. I'm just excited you guys invited me to join you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Randy Tapley also joining us over in the technical director chair. Randy, say hi to all the nice people.
Hello, all you nice people.
Nightmares and Nerdscapes said he does have nice hair. Yes, Landon has really nice hair. God, there's so many people to talk to all at once here. Landon, what's the nerdiest thing you've done this week?
All right. I haven't decided what's nerdier. Finally putting up those posters you see behind me, including that Nuka-Cola poster you got me, Danny. Or downloading Open Roller Coaster Tycoon as soon as I heard it existed and playing that for a little bit before the show started.
Yeah. Now, what does it mean? Is it just an open source version of it, or?
It's just an open source version of it. They got the source code. They just released a version that's free and with a few updates made by the community.
I've never played Roller Coaster Tycoon, so I may have to check that out.
Oh, that's like a quarter of my childhood right there.
Do you think it'll play well on my Mac? Anyway, Jennifer, what's the nerdiest thing you've done this week?
I'm trying to finish up Attack on Titan. I got like 2 episodes left. I'm almost there. So yeah, I've been trying to power through that.
If you don't want to finish it, Randy would be more than happy to tell you what happens.
I haven't actually finished it.
Would you, Randy? Would you mind?
You could actually spoil it for me because I have no idea what happens. Well, actually, I kind of know what happens.
Randy, what is the nerdiest thing you've done this week?
Well, Bloons Tower Defense 6 has introduced a roguelite expansion to their game, and I've put an obscene amount of time into that for someone who's not good at it. So I've been playing that pretty much nonstop this week.
Never played. Again, that's another game I've never really gotten into is Bloons.
Do you hate balloons and love cute monkeys that throw darts at said balloons?
You're speaking my language, brother.
There you go. And
the nerdiest thing I've done this week, I finished Mobile Suit Gundam, the original series from 1979, and immediately started Mobile Suit Gundam's Wing, which isn't necessarily the right order and chronological order, but it's the next one that has a dub instead of a sub, and I need to be able to look away from the screen. So I don't know when I'll get a chance to watch all the subbed Gundam, but it's probably not gonna be anytime soon. Yeah. Anyway, you guys want to talk about some news?
Always.
Yes.
Let's fire up the bullet points. Welcome to the bullet points. Right off the bat, Demon Slayer is going for a Guinness World Record. In celebration of the release of the Infinity Castle movie coming out soon, the Gyoto City Prefecture in Japan is going to create a 28,000 square meter rice paddy art scene featuring Tanjiro. And we have an image of what they're going for here. But so this is what the rice paddies are going to look like whenever they get them done. They previously set the Guinness record for largest rice paddy art in 2015 with a Dragon Quest rice paddy art scene that was just a little bit smaller than this one, but that one should be up just ahead of the release of Infinity Castle.
I want to eat it. Can I buy that bag of rice? That sounds amazing.
That's a lot of rice, 28,000 square meters. I mean, I don't understand the metric system, but I think that's a lot.
Oh man, I imagine there will be a lot of people clamoring to get some of that.
Yeah,
just bagged as a souvenir.
Like Demon Slayer rice? I want that.
That's true.
Oh, I'm looking up a picture of the Dragon Quest one. It's like a field where they have. That's not exactly what I thought it was going to be.
You want to throw that up?
Yeah, let me get it on here real quick.
So Randy's going to throw that up for us really quick. I recently, and Landon, we were talking about this before we went live. Landon's a little jealous, but Randy's been doing the technical directing for the show for what, 3 weeks now. And I've upgraded his setup to 3 monitors instead of just 1. And so he can do things like this while we're live. Whereas Landon had to struggle with one screen trying to do all of this.
To do them while live.
I bounced in between different windows trying to keep all the comments going up and trying to keep up with everything. Randy, you don't know how good you got it right. Except for the fact that you did it one screen for 2 times already, but we don't count that.
The trick is to unionize. I have collective bargaining power.
Yes, Randy has recently become unionized.
So this is the Dragon Quest one.
Wow,
I think this is what I found when I Googled it. So
that
hopefully
seems
it's
right.
But yeah, I was thinking like rice. I don't know what I was thinking, like rice patties, like little pats of rice. But
no,
I guess,
a
like,
rice
the
paddy
fields,
is the field they grow rice
Okay.
in. That's a cultural thing. You guys didn't realize that? I mean,
I did.
Jennifer, your husband's Japanese.
Yeah.
I think I was the odd one out on that one.
Over in comic book news, Marvel is reintroducing the daughter of Deadpool and Wolverine. And you heard that correctly. It is Deadpool and Wolverine with a child together. Over in the pages of Deadpool and Wolverine number 8, Deadpool's former sidekick Weasel became a villain called the Patient Zero. He stole some genetic material from Parker Industries and then made a deal with Mephisto to create a cocktail that he then gave to a woman named Susan Mary, 2 first names. And then he had her drink it, and it turned her into the genetic love child of Deadpool and Spider-Man. That being said, in Amazing Spider-Man number 2, Itsy Bitsy, the character we're referring to, is returning to the comic page and will be featured in Spider-Man comics going forward. So what do you guys think about Deadpool and Spider-Man having a kid, for starters, and then the fact that it wasn't a one-off? Like, the character was supposed to have been killed off in the initial Deadpool and Spider-Man run, and they are now bringing her back.
I didn't know she existed, and more than that, I'm surprised Deadpool didn't have an active role in trying to make this happen. That's the thing I'm most surprised about in this entire story, is that Wade wasn't trying to get pregnant.
If the internet is to be believed, in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, when they're fighting in like the Subaru, they end up doing more than fighting. So someone was like, you don't end up tied up with all those seatbelts and nothing happens. So maybe that's the alternate origin story.
You know, watching that, I laughed, and it never occurred to me that might be bondage porn for some people.
Apparently it was. But also, how does Itsy Bitsy, how do you get a spider from a Deadpool and a Wolverine?
When she introduces herself, huh? What was that, Jen?
Like, I guess she swallows, huh?
Well, from the introduction in the comic, she introduced herself by saying the Itsy Bitsy spider brought the pain or something like that. Like, that's how they introduced her. But yeah, that's the name they gave her. If you want to switch back to the comments, I want to feature the people in the chat real quick before we move along. I want to say hey to, let's see, scroll up for me. More. I want to say hey to Nightmares and Nerdscapes. Mimi Schaefer, glad you're in the comments. Billy Rhodes is here. Said so too generous, huh, Landon? Jody Lee Meredith, the Show Me Stark and Boot Heel Bat Fam owner in the chat. Willie McCoy Jr. is here. What's up, Willie? Glad you're here. And yes, that is Jen. She is here to stay. Jen's not going anywhere. I won't let her. Mimi Schaefer said, nerdiest thing I've done today is watch my kids play the PS5 and watch Ranma 1/2. I haven't watched Ranma yet, but I believe it's pretty good. Fox Pixar Media, our friend from New Zealand, is back. We got that Naked Gun 4 1/4 trailer earlier this year. Yes, we did. We've been tracking that. We actually talked about it last week. Serena Best of 9 Stewart, my beautiful niece, is in the chat. And is that the whole chat currently? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then our human relations specialist and fact checker extraordinaire, Ben Stewart, should be in the chat eventually, but if he isn't, it's fine. Anyway, moving along to TV news. The pre-orders for the season 1 steelbook of the Fallout Amazon Prime series have become available on Amazon today. It is an unknown release date, but it is $39.99 to pre-order the 4K version of the Steelbook. So those of you who need the physical media, there it is. The packaging includes animated content, a console to camera feature, inside season 1 feature, prosthetics and makeup feature, Gone Nuclear feature, Set Your Sights on 2296 feature, Welcome to the World of Fallout, Becoming the Ghoul, Creating the Wasteland, Safe and Sound, Meet the Filmmaker and Fanatic Jonathan Nolan, The Costumes of Fallout, and Writing for the Wasteland, all featured in the package. So it seems like a pretty good package of Fallout stuff. Landon, are you rushing to your Amazon account to get that?
Why does all the cool stuff come out when I'm broke as shit? That's what I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I just moved. I don't have much money right now. Oblivion just came out again. Like, I'm broke. I don't have money for all the cool stuff right now.
Yeah.
I am clamoring
just
for it,
moved,
though. Don't
so
get me
you
wrong.
deserve a treat.
That's little treat. Little treat culture.
Kind of fun.
Jen, what do you think about that? You going to be getting a Steelbook?
I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah.
I'll probably, if they have figures or something, I'll probably end up getting some figures, but
yeah. Were you a fan of the series?
You know, I really liked the series when it came out on Amazon. I love the casting that they did. I thought it was just amazing, and even the sets and everything they made. I mean, it blew me away as far as that being so close to the video game. I loved it.
Yeah. I'm not a huge Fallout fan. I never really played it much, but yeah, I really enjoyed the series. And then I had a lot of questions for Landon and Billy because I didn't know what anything was.
We'll happily talk about it. We do happily talk about it a lot.
Billy said he can't wait to hear how shitty Daredevil is. And he also said, I don't know what half that shit means. The features for it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure either. You'll have to buy the Steelbook and find out, Billy. And then my last piece of news in movies, the Netflix movie Old Guard, starring Charlize Theron, is finally moving forward on their sequel, Old Guard 2. We got a first look via Reddit from IGN. The movie is going to release on Netflix July 2nd, 2025. So it's coming in the next couple of months. Were you a fan of the original, and are you excited for the sequel?
I am. Hell yeah.
I have no clue about any of this, so nope.
It's based on a book series, and the second one is also based on the book series, and the writer of the book series is also part of and writing the script for the movies. So it's I think it's a fairly faithful adaptation of the original stuff. It's really good. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, Landon, I would say check it out.
Definitely will. I'm always a supporter of artists or authors having more say in the adaptations of their work. So definitely.
Just a quick breakdown. It's like an elite combat squad of people that have superpowers. And there's some history there. They actually, I won't spoil it, but there's some history involved in there. They're actually characters from mythology, and they set it up for the sequel to happen. So I'm excited to see where it goes moving forward. Now we also know that Charlize Theron is also a superhero in the MCU. She's Clea Strange. And then also a movie that never got a sequel that I really felt should have, Hancock. She was also a superhero in that as well. So she's got some chops when it comes to superhero stuff.
And she was Atomic Blonde. That's not really superhero, but
yeah,
might as well be.
That's true. What was the other movie she did where she was like a super soldier? Something dark or
Aeon Flux? No.
I forget what it was. She
Oh,
had like
Aeon Flux is also her.
Aeon Flux. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
She
Okay,
was yeah, she was on Aeon Flux.
Yep. So anyway, I'm looking forward to Old Guard 2. I'm excited about it. Anyway, that does it for me on news. Landon, what do you have in video gaming?
Honestly, everything. I know this only came out a couple of days ago, but it is just blowing up the news feed it's the only thing I have right now. The Oblivion remake pretty much shadow dropped a day or two ago.
Yeah,
and it is just received a ton of love. It just blew up. From what I can tell, it has the same like soul and charm of the original game, just in an updated package and smoothing out some of the rougher edges that people didn't like in the original. So yeah, it's great to hear that a AAA remake of a game is actually something that a lot of people are enjoying, as opposed to just a standard cash grab. Or
how old is Oblivion at this point? The original release.
It came out in 2007, I want to say 2006, somewhere around there.
18-year-old title, and the remake, people are still playing Oblivion. Like,
oh yeah, there's still people playing.
The diehards have never stopped, and now they're dropping a new version. I think that's awesome.
I don't know if it's a hot take, but I like I like Oblivion more than Skyrim, and like I feel like most of my friends at least like Skyrim more, but I always liked Oblivion better. I don't know what about it, but that game always vibed with me more, and I played more of it. I also didn't get Skyrim when it first came out, so maybe that's why. But I stuck with Oblivion, so I'm very excited about the remake.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own, Randy. I know more people would get on you for liking Morrowind more than Skyrim, but that's beside the point. A bit of like uplifting news for that go along with this. The Bethesda gave free keys to the game to a team of people who are trying to mod Oblivion into Skyrim. They gave a bunch of free keys to these people just as like a sign of like, hey, we know what you're doing, and we actually still support it, even though we put out this Unreal Engine 5 remake of Oblivion.
CJ Lovelady says Morrowind is a superior game. So apparently you've upset him, Landon.
I mean, I'm not going to argue either way. I love being able to do stupid shit in Morrowind. I like being able to do stupid shit in Skyrim. It's all fun to me.
So are you saying that the fact that they're turning over the keys to mod Oblivion into Skyrim is a sign that they're probably moving towards doing a remake of Skyrim as well?
Oh, wow. Another re-release of Skyrim. God,
well, like an updated graphics re-release of Skyrim. Like they haven't...
Hell no. They could re-release it on another thing 5 times over and still make the same amount of money. They are not putting any resources to remaking Skyrim if they can help it. Like there may be people out there there may be people at Bethesda, or if this remake wasn't made by Bethesda, but there may be people out there who are like, yeah, I would love to remake Skyrim in a new engine that's better and just more versatile and everything. But Bethesda's not going to put any resources towards that right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
you're
right. Every platform they drop it on, it sells like crazy. I mean, I own it on 3 different platforms currently, and I've never really played it. So I mean, I can imagine that they would really want to drop the resources on it, but like, I think there's definitely a market for it.
I think a lot more people are hoping for a Morrowind remake at this point, just because that game is even harder to play than Oblivion at times, and a modern remake would definitely give people a lot more freedom in their gameplay than Skyrim, I would say.
Also, I know on like Steam, there's a lot of like mods for Skyrim already. So it might, like, I think there's like HD mods that you can get. So I think that's probably sated a lot of people's desire for the update for that one as opposed to like Oblivion. But
CJ Loves Lady said, I'd love to see an Elder Scrolls Heritage Collection going all the way back to Daggerfall. That'd be pretty cool.
Same, Love Lady. Also, side note, Bethesda is normally really big on having official mod support in all their like Elder Scrolls games and Fallout games and everything made on the Creation Engine. But they actually aren't starting out with any official mod support for the Unreal Engine Oblivion remake, which is interesting.
Yeah, I imagine they kind of want to pump the brakes on that, give them a chance to play the new version before you start modding it. You know, they did the same thing with Baldur's Gate 3, obviously not the same studio, but they waited a while before they allowed people to mod the game.
Yeah, well. But that's everything I have in news.
Fantastic.
I'll pop this one up real quick.
Okay.
What the hell, man? Got one guy's Oblivion is great, and another one going Imagine Dragons is the greatest. I'm sorry to report they're the same person. They're both me. That's why I don't show my face.
Well, I hope this news didn't just graze you. This has been the bullet points. Like, what would make the mouse better for you, Randy?
The scroll wheel is backwards from what I normally.
Oh, just change the settings.
But I don't know how.
Oh, you'd rather just complain about it.
I never think about it. It gives me an excuse for why I'm bad at this.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we can fix that. That's a fixable problem. But yeah, feel free to bring your own keyboard/mouse situation if you're not happy with the one you got over there. Anyway, welcome back to the show. We are going to briefly, because I didn't have time with our guest John Swayze on the show last week. And quick shout out to John Swayze. Thank you again for being on the show. And Randy, what was the name of his podcast? We still have the graphic.
Or
did you delete
the
it?
bottom of the barrel?
Bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
you can find it on Spotify. It's a great time. Great guy. John Swayze. Genuinely great human being. Give him all the love and support that you can. For somebody that plays mostly villains, he's such a nice guy. Anyway, we are going to be talking about the season finale of Daredevil Born Again. Anybody here watched it besides me?
I did.
Randy's up to date on it. Landon? No, I know Jen isn't. So what I can say about episode 9 of Daredevil Born Again is finally we got Daredevil in the Daredevil costume doing Daredevil things. That was great. We finally got Kingpin doing Kingpin stuff. Also great. And we got the Punisher in the full Punisher costume, cleaned up and doing Punisher things. All great pieces that would have been great over a 9-episode spread. But dropping it all in the final episode, it does feel a little too late. And it does feel like they packed a whole lot of shit into a very short amount of time that I would have loved to have seen over, I don't know, about a 9-episode series instead of, let's see, 6 of the 9 episodes being kind of useless. I will say, I know the new creative team had episode 1, 8, and 9. Those are the only ones they really added to the original run over what was previously filmed. That was initially going to be a full 18 episodes. I don't know how the fuck they were going to turn that into 18 episodes, but that storyline that took place in between episode 2 to episode 7, those let's see, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, those episodes were supposed to be the whole like 18. Like that storyline was supposed to be the whole 18 episodes. I don't know how the fuck that was going to work. It was going to be a lot more boring, I guess, which great. I'm glad that they fucking canned those people, went back, filmed new shit. It sucked. It sucked, Jen.
They were fighting their nature. That was the season. They were fighting their nature.
That
And
story
then
would
they
have been
finally
great
came-
for 2 episodes.
But
They could have
I
fit
know,
everything
I
in those 7 episodes into 2 episodes. Like Muse sucked. He wasn't nearly as cool as he is in the comics. They wasted him. I hate whenever they take an MCU property and they waste a really good character because that's our one shot at it. You know, it's like Taskmaster being not
Mhm.
great in Black Widow. You know, Taskmaster's a great character. I love Taskmaster in the comics. It could be a lady version of Taskmaster. That's fine. But Taskmaster not talking for the entire movie, that's not Taskmaster. He's a mouthy little fucker. So whenever they
Yeah.
ruin a character like that, it sucks. Whenever you give us a villain like Muse who's got superpowers and abilities and all that kind of shit, and you make him a rich kid who likes to kill people and make art out of their blood, who's kind of into Taekwondo, that sucks. That's the wrong way to go with those characters. So out of those 9 episodes, 6 of them not great. 1 was awesome. I enjoyed seeing the Daredevil stuff in episode 1. I enjoyed the Daredevil stuff in episode 8, and I enjoyed the stuff in episode 9. And I'm really excited for season 2 because I think it's going to be a lot better. And we're going to have all of that spread out over 9 episodes, which I think is going to be awesome. I'm excited for that. But you can tell that original creative team had no idea what the fuck they were doing with the Daredevil character. And you can also tell that new creative team was like, we got to make this better. We've only got 3 episodes to do it in. How are we going to do this? So I will say good, not good enough for me. I would give it maybe like a 6 out of 10 for Marvel television shows compared to what has been some of the best superhero television we've gotten in the previous Daredevil series. But for me, really, really hoping that these next 9 episodes bring it because the first 9 did not for me.
Can I bring my notes that I took while watching to the
Absolutely.
table and see your opinion on them? So Kingpin is so Trump coded. I think he even says no due process.
Yeah, he absolutely is.
Like which I'm like, is that they couldn't have reshot that before that aired? Like, you know, I'm like, that's wild.
Well, he did already have 1 term as president to pull from.
True. Yeah. And then the guy who comes in to like try to assassinate Matt Murdock in the hospital, like,
yeah,
he puts an uncapped needle into his pocket, into his like breast pocket. Like, that's the bad assassin.
Yeah, he definitely had a nipple piercing after that.
When Daredevil and Frank are fighting in his apartment against all these guys, he like flips a guy and then smashes someone's teeth in and then yells, "Frank, stop," before then hitting someone in the temple. I was like, what are you talking about? Like,
that is very
he does then
close
proceed to shoot someone, but that's not what he was doing.
Very close to Batfleck dropping a whole fucking like 6-ton crate onto somebody. And
He's
then being like,
"Don't
I
kill
don't
people." And then, yeah, exactly.
as he's killing henchmen.
Deborah Ann Woll is a delight, as always. Then Daniel Blake, the like news reporter, or like not the younger guy who's like friends with the news reporter.
Oh, yeah.
He gets more New York gangstery sounding in the
Mhm.
last episode. I don't know what that was about. For like half this episode, which is maybe why it was like better than the rest, it was more like Punisher born again, and then also his attorney. Because Daredevil literally takes a back seat for part of the episode, and it's just focusing on Punisher, which isn't a bad thing.
Absolutely.
But it was very much like his episode. And then he goes in and he gets like attacked by like the police force.
Yeah.
And I was like, they've been shooting at him, and then they all surround him and start hitting him with the butt of their guns.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you're using the wrong end, which it turns out they wanted to capture him because they wanted to like.
They literally say non-lethals only, guys, as he walks in. But then after he kills like 5 of them, you might want to go with lethals.
I mean, I would probably turn the gun around and be like, whoopsies.
Hey, this guy just killed 5 of our friends. You guys think we should actually start hurting him?
Yeah. Be like, I don't think he wants to join us. He's just killing us.
Frank, we just want to be your friend. And he's like, bah, 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 bah. And they're like, ah, shit, everybody's dead. Frank, we still just want to be your friend.
And then Kingpin, turn off all the power to the city. That'll stop the blind superhero. And then also like don't turn off all the power to the city and then crush a guy's skull in your white jacket, because you will not find a dry cleaner.
Yep.
Idolizing the Punisher and not understanding what his whole deal is. That's
that's common.
That's like
real life.
Yeah, exactly. And then I have an extended sequence of characters silently doing things while flashy editing with a voiceover screams rework.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
that final closing scene with Matt just standing in the bar,
like showing like
the Daredevil costume,
White Tiger's niece who I'm pretty sure becomes White Tiger too, or whatever.
It's another White Tiger.
Like just showing like, oh, we didn't forget these guys; they're here.
Yeah.
I'm glad Josie knows that he's Daredevil now because he like walks out, and I'm assuming she'll pick up on that.
Everyone else in the room knew Daredevil.
Frank is the gruntiest hero. Punisher, he grunts so much.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that, like I'm like
It's called acting, Randy. That's John
like
Bernthal's
I should have
thing.
asked John Swayze this last week. Are effort the hardest thing you have to do? Because it feels like that would be so hard, and that is his whole like that's
Yeah.
what's his name? John
Bernthal.
That's his whole deal. Yeah, how are you going to dry clean with no power? That's a terrible thing to do. Like, he wears a white suit and just crushes a dude's skull, and just, I'm like, that's never going to come out.
Jody Lee Meredith said, still no
his
double
white
Ds on
flare.
Matt's suit.
Come on.
Still no double Ds on Matt's suit. They have dropped first looks at season 2, and they have the double Ds on the suit now, so you can see that in the next season. So they're finally going to actually have a Daredevil costume in the next season. What were you saying, Jen? I'm sorry. About the white suits?
I said the blood, it's flare.
Yeah.
The blood on his white suit.
But
It's
he had
his flare.
press conference
Fine.
right after that.
And Eric Johnson, he
Yes.
said, I guess Frank isn't down with Back to Blue. Not typically in the comics. He hasn't been at all. Punisher will kill cops as quickly as he'll kill mobsters if they get in his way.
But I think that's most of my notes. I was kind of waiting for like a callback to the World on Fire thing, but I think they're just not going to really do that.
They're changing that from the Netflix one to him being more echolocation than the World on Fire. That's why the opening sequence changed as well. They kind of got rid of that. Eric Johnson said Matt had double Ds. Elseworlds, my man, Elseworlds. Yeah. So the only other thing I would say, and it's something I was thinking when you brought that up, Randy, is that the Punisher, very much like I notice this sometimes in movies when they want to make them like captured or whatever, they just take all of their ability to logic a problem out. The Punisher, typically, if he was going to walk into a room full of armed men, would have like a rifle somewhere set up with like an automatic like motion sensor that would go off. He'd throw some bombs or some grenades into the room. He'd smoke them out. Then he'd come in and start fighting. Like the Punisher just walking into a room with like 20 other men, all with guns, and him just trying to take them down with like a handgun in his fists is very far from what Frank Castle would typically do in a situation like that.
He's kind of like Batman, but he's going to go in prepared and violent.
Yeah, yes,
Prepared
absolutely. That's why
for
he
violence.
has a tech person. That's why he's got somebody to help him with all of this stuff. He usually has stuff to make him a one-man army. He isn't a one-man army because he's really effective with a gun in his fist.
They do show off his intelligence on how he escapes at the mid-credit scene, though.
Absolutely, but he's
They
not guaranteed to
absolutely-
survive to that point.
Well,
Like, why
he's-
would he risk
but like
everything on that?
how genius is it to be like, hey, security guard, whose name I wrote down, Anthony Petruccio. I know you're a big fan. Will you shake my hand? Will you reach inside my cage?
Like a fucking idiot.
That's a genius way to get out of something. And then you snap his arm and take his keys.
Yeah, all of that.
No one would think of that.
It just makes no sense. It reminds me of the first John Wick movie where he's like super careful and very methodical in every single fight in the movie, except the one where he gets captured. He walks down into a group of men with a shotgun by himself, and they hit him with a car and then capture him. And it's the only time in that movie where he does something just completely against his character and completely stupid. And it was literally because they needed a reason for him to get caught. And you can't be a super smart, set up, like awesome assassin if you're going to get caught like that. So it's like, oh, he'll make one really, really dumb choice compared to literally everything else he does in the movie. And I feel like that's what they did with John Bernthal here too. I think it's just lazy writing.
And where are the grenades, Frank? Batman would have had an anti-gunman's bat spray. That's true.
But Batman would have descended from the ceiling in the midst of them and then used his incredible fighting ability to disarm and destroy each one of them while they were in absolute terror of this giant 6'3" muscle-bound crazy person in a bat costume.
And non-lethally break their spines.
Yes, he would have non-lethally broken all of their appendages. CJ Lovelady said right next to the bat shark repellent. So anyway, I know neither of you have seen this, but do you have any thoughts on what I have said or the review or just how you feel the season's going in general?
I mean, you had a comment near the end of your rant, Danny, that you were optimistic about season 2, which is very interesting considering how much you have hated season 1.
It's interesting that you would equate that to hate. It's disappointment, really. I'm disappointed that it isn't better because I was really, really excited for this to be the thing that returned Daredevil to our screens and that they had this opportunity to make something incredible. And I'm really disappointed in how far off the mark they are from the way they advertised it. I wouldn't say I hate it. I would rather have some superhero media than no superhero media. I don't know that hate is the word that I would use, but I do think they could have done this a lot better. The likelihood of me rewatching this is much slimmer than some of the other stuff that Marvel has put out.
I don't know. You seemed like you've actively disliked 7 out of the 9 episodes.
I would say 6 out of the 9. I think the first episode was good. But yeah, I just, I wouldn't say I hate. I definitely wouldn't say I hated this. I'm excited to have Daredevil back on screens. And I know that the majority of this, they tanked a lot of money into this initial 18 episodes and they saved what they could from it. And they still needed to use it to make their money back on it. And then they reshot 3 episodes entirely, along with some reshoots in the sprinkled throughout those 6 episodes. And I'm really excited to see what this new creative team does with their full 9 episodes they're getting for the second season. So
All right.
for me, the parts that I like are definitely from the new creative team, is what I could say.
Okay.
See, I like to complain about things, but I actually kind of like the show. Like I will say it's not like the perfect show, but I have enjoyed it. I also enjoy bitching about it.
CJ Lovelady said, so Morbius or Daredevil Born Again? Daredevil Born Again, absolutely.
Even a broken clock is Morbin time twice a day. So
shut up, Randy.
I've never actually watched
Morbius. Jen, what do you got?
Just what I was telling you earlier, I just feel like most of the season was about them kind of like fighting their nature, because Daredevil is definitely very much a part of who Matt Murdock is. And, he went against that because, Foggy got killed and he felt very responsible for it. So I kind of looked at that as like, remember in Iron Man 2, everybody kind of complained like, oh, we're not really getting a whole lot of Iron Man, but it kind of went back to, him kind of going back to square one and kind of reinventing himself more or less, or just kind of reconnecting to who he is. And I feel like that's what Matt was doing. Matt was kind of going back, reconnecting to like his lawyer side, and realized that, he has to be Daredevil. He has to be that sort of like vigilante justice. And granted, I didn't see the last episode, but I enjoyed kind of watching that journey. He fought and fought, and, every time he turned around, he had to be Daredevil again. And I think he realized that is very much a part of who he is, not like a separate entity. That is him. And Kingpin is the same thing. They're both kind of going on that journey to more or less together. And, he's always going to be this horrible villain who likes to wear white suits and get them all bloody. So yeah. I kind of enjoyed that journey, but I was super happy to hear that, they kind of went back to their roots and we're going to get more of what Netflix gave us in the beginning.
Yeah. I can agree with all of that. I just think the pacing struggled. I think that we should have, I just for hour-long episodes, I think like by episode 3, Daredevil should have been born again. Like I think we should have been to that point by the 3rd episode, or at least him starting to like maybe his resilience to becoming Daredevil again was starting to crumble more, and maybe he was doing a bit more at that point. But it was really, and I really think they really mischaracterized Kingpin a lot in this show. Kingpin is a big whiny crybaby through a lot of this show. Like he's like, I just didn't get my way, blah blah blah. Well, like Kingpin traditionally knows that he's doing evil things, or he's doing bad guy things. He doesn't think of himself as a hero. He's aware that his choices are negative or bad, but he believes that he's smart enough and a good enough judge of what's right and wrong to skirt that balance and still and that the bad things he does make things better over time. But that's not the Kingpin we got in this show. We got like a very like I'm always right and I never mess anything up and it's everybody else's fault. Like it just wasn't Kingpin. And we did get that Kingpin in the first and in most of his live action appearances. So I just think they really mischaracterized Kingpin, and that kind of pisses me off when I'm watching it. I think by the end of episode 9, though, he was fully Kingpin again, which is great. So I think they understand where they're going and how to fix that. But I just think the original creative team had no idea how to do Kingpin. And unfortunately, like I said, Disney didn't want to lose a ton of money on it. So they used some of that. And I think they should have used none of it. I think maybe they should have just went back to square one for the entire series. Because like I said, 6 out of 9 of those episodes, not good.
Well,
not great.
Several
were
of the
okay.
episodes were like the bank heist episode. I really like that episode. I thought it was fun. I like the episodes where it's a superhero and they have to not reveal who they are, but also like save the bank. And like that's always a fun time. But that's an episode that I think could fit anywhere because it didn't really have. It was kind of a bubble episode, right? Like
it was.
Or did the thing that they were stealing didn't actually end up being important to like the and then they dropped the who killed, like why was not Happy Hogan, what's his name?
I've
poisoned your mind with Happy
Jesus
Hogan.
Christ, no.
Foggy.
Jesus Christ, Foggy Nelson.
Okay. There's a gas leak here.
Yeah.
But Foggy's death, and then they're just like 8 episodes in, they're like, oh, I think I've solved it. It's like,
I've solved this mystery
what?
I wasn't working
like,
on.
what did you solve? So like I think that could have brought up earlier, but I think it just didn't fit in with like the Muse arc. Like, if there was any line about like, oh, did Muse hire him to kill him? Or I don't know, have something where it's like, or my thought was, which I'm wrong about this is why I'm not a writer. I was like, he should have had like a conspiracy board, but that wouldn't make sense because he's blind.
Yeah, because he's blind.
Unless you just had the pictures upside down. And the string. Yeah. But yeah, so I was like, they needed to have something where he's like thinking about it or doing stuff with it, or like,
that would have been great to have some.
Karen calls and is just like, have you looked into it? He's like afraid, like he doesn't look into it, but they didn't do that till like that episode. So when it's brought up, I was like, oh, that's a thing we've been doing. And that's one thing where like some of the episodes could have been shuffled around. Like the whole Muse thing could have been like the next season. I don't know, but I guess not with his girlfriend being attacked, but like, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to lose my mind over this all over again, but then there's also the bank fight or the bank scene and the Muse fight. Both times, Matt, one of the most trained combatants in all of Marvel Universe, who's a skilled ninja, is on top of a boxer and lots of other things, who fights supervillains on the daily, has a really hard time beating a guy who was kind of into Taekwondo, and a really hard time beating an Irish bank robber who doesn't have any formal fight training at all. Like the kind of henchman type people that Daredevil beats like 20, 30 at a time. He had a really hard time twice in the series, in the episodes written by this other creative team. And I think they just did not understand the characters. But anyway, that's what I've got for my review of Daredevil Born Again season finale. I would say for the finale, like I said, let me give it like a 6 out of 10. For the entire series, these flies are about to get punched in the face. For the entire series,
the flies is huge.
Yeah, one of them is huge. For the entire series, considering all 9 episodes together, I might give it like a 4 out of 10. It was so far from what I was hoping it would be.
I don't know what I would give it.
Yeah,
I tend to give things 8 out of 10s.
Yeah.
But I think it maybe gets a 7.
But speaking of good creative teams, this week we're talking about our 5 favorite authors on the hit list.
Talk slower. I wasn't prepared.
Yes.
This week we're talking. Welcome to the hit list. We are talking about our 5 favorite authors this week. This could be an author from literally any media, whether it's books, comic books, video games, whoever's writing the story. That's where we're coming from. But Landon, would you be so kind as to kick us off with your number 5? Almost said number 1. Oof.
Well, wrong order, Danny. Wrong order.
Wrong order.
My number 5 is Tom Clancy. Now, his actual stories, hit or miss, honestly. But you see, Tom Clancy did something that a lot of us want to do. And that is he found the perfect excuse to just talk about his hyperfixation all he wants. Some people start a live show to talk about what they want. His hyperfixation was always military craft and protocol and design and weapon design and everything. And his books gave him the perfect excuse to talk about all of that. It's like, honest to God, it's like 50% an actual narrative and 50% an excuse for him to talk about military uniform. And I gotta give him credit for that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Tom Clancy is the one that he was an accountant, and he started writing his novels, and he did like a description of a room in the Pentagon that was so accurate. He just looked like blueprints of the Pentagon or whatever, but he did a description that was so accurate that the FBI actually questioned him, trying to see if he was a spy of some kind. Because it was, he got it so right.
Jeez.
Have you ever seen a man more of an accountant than this picture? He was definitely an accountant. I know nothing about it, but he was definitely an accountant.
CJ Lovelady said, "Yep, that's him." So yeah, he was so accurate with this thing he built in his mind that the FBI had to come get him and be like, "How the fuck did you know that?"
I fully believe that story 100%. This is a man who obsesses over all those details like that.
Jen, what do you got?
My number 5 is actually Terry Brooks. He is, most of the books I've read from him are a lot of the Shannara Chronicles. That's a really good one, this sort of Shannara. So all the books are amazing. My favorite ones are the Wish Song series. I know MTV had picked up the Shannara Chronicles and absolutely butchered it. It was awful, in my opinion, anyway. The books were, as always, way better. But yeah, if anybody's ever bored, pick up a Terry Brooks book. They're awesome.
It has been on my list of things to get around to. I've not ventured into Terry Brooks yet, but I do remember whenever the Shannara Chronicles came out on MTV, and I kind of saw the format they were doing for it, and I was like, "This can't be good," and I never watched it.
Dude, I don't understand why they always have to make like some sort of love triangle, because that is not what happened in the book, and the book is like so interesting. Especially like the ending when she has to like turn in. But anyway, I'm not gonna ruin it. But yeah, it's they just, it was just, I almost ruined it. It's like, ooh, stopping. But yeah, the books are great. I mean, a lot of the stories kind of repeat themselves with like different characters and everything. But I kind of like the tropes that they go with, you know, good versus evil kind of thing. So it's good.
Yeah. Randy, what do you got for number 5?
My number 5 is the author of Artemis Fowl. I've never said his name out loud. Ian Colfer. It's Eion. I don't know. He's an Irish author. They are books that I read growing up, and it's weird. I started with like the 3rd book and then went back and read the first one. Or no, I read the 3rd, then the 4th, then I went back and read the 1st and couldn't get into the 2nd, but because I knew what happened already. So I skipped it, and I still have never read it. People say it's one of the best ones. But it's just he's done other stuff, but that's like the one he's most known for.
Yeah.
And there's like, I think like 7, and then at one point Artemis Fowl, he's an only child, but he changes the time, and when he comes back to his own timeline, he has 2 younger brothers or 2 younger siblings. I don't know if they're both boys or not, but so then there's a series of the Fowl twins is what it's called. And I haven't read those, but it's just a really good series. It's like a fun like explanation of like mythology of like fairies and sprites and dwarves and all kinds of stuff. It's a fun series. I don't know if you guys read it, if I'm preaching to the choir. But,
I have seen the graphic novels of Artemis Fowl, but I've never read any of the books.
For the longest time, it describes him explicitly as a raven-haired child, and I didn't know what that meant. I just assumed he had red hair for like half the time.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Harry Potter.
Yeah. And then the movie was terrible. Doesn't really follow the book at all. I think everybody knew that. And then they had Oh, Eden? Is that? I think
Sounds
she was
yeah,
in
that's
it.
right.
She was a like a police chief. I don't remember like the name in the book, but like it's so bad.
Very far off. The mark.
I'm so sorry that she was in it.
Mhm.
And then like Colin Farrell is in it as the father, who
Yeah.
like in the first book is not in it at all. And they make him out to be like a good person, where he's like Artemis Fowl and his family are villains. And then like he eventually like kind of grows a conscience and becomes friends with Holly, one of the main fairies. And it's just really fun. It's like almost like a magical but like technology based system that they have for the fairies, and it's fun.
Okay. I'll have to check it out. Landon, I know Billy sent you his list. You want to give us Billy's number 5?
Sure, I can give you Billy's number 5. Yes. Billy Rhodes, number 5. Go. Getting rid of the pop guard, see if I can get real close to this. Billy Rhodes, number 5. Michael Crichton. Probably best known for Jurassic Park and The Lost World, although Spielberg wouldn't recognize that one. If you liked the irresponsible runaway science that was done with absolute complete reckless abandonment in Jurassic Park, then you are in for a treat. That is just one of a library full of his works about crazy science gone wrong. There's the Andromeda Strain, Prey, Next, Congo, Sphere, just to name a few. All fun, innocent romps of super science pissing in God's eye just to see if he blinks.
Billy Rhodes said, "Good thing I sent my list over. I might be shadow banned." Nah, Billy, you're not shadow banned. Fox Pixar Media said Crichton did Twister. You know how much Fox Pixar Media loves the Twisters movies. Mine. What else we got in chat? Actually,
We got CJ Loveletter saying Hewlett Packard
again he did it.
Lovecraft.
He did it again.
Lady.
What's his name?
Hewlett Packard.
No. What's
Lovecraft.
the commenter's name?
CJ Lovelady. What did I say?
Love letter.
Love letter.
Oh, sorry. I'm sure I'll do it in the future. But yeah, I like Lovecraft. Never really read any of his stories, but I know them from other media that has stolen them. And good.
CJ said, "This fucking kid, man."
I'm sorry. I'll say I'll get better, but I can't promise that. Eric Johnson says Mark Millar.
Yeah, Mark Millar, the creator of Kick-Ass. There's another comic series he did called Nemesis that I really love. It's where it's from the viewpoint of the villain, and he's like the world's greatest villain. He's basically Batman, but he wears a white suit and he doesn't have ears on it. But he like straight up like is murdering people and like just doing all sorts of crazy shit. It's really good. That's a Mark Millar story.
Did he do Kingsman?
Did he do what?
Kingsman?
I've
never read the comic. I've never read the comic, but I love the movie, the first movie.
Possibly. I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't remember if it's him or the guy who did The Boys, but I do love.
Yeah, he did. He did the Kingsman.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, he did it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so he's he's Scottish, I think. I think Mark Millar's Scottish. But he's I mean, he's a prolific comic creator. He's worked for both Marvel and DC in the past, as well as having his own run of characters and comics. But he's brought us some of the best takes on characters. I believe the Max run of Punisher was Mark Millar. He's really good at telling like gritty superhero stories. Eric Johnson said Marvel Comics Civil War 2006 to 2007 was Mark Millar as well. But yeah. Yeah, great. Is that everything we have in chat? Oh no, Fox Pixar Media had one.
Jim Abrams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker, Kentucky Fried Theater. Who were they? Who are they? They did classics and their 4K Blu-ray collection. Well, I can't
box set, so go figure. Yes. And then my number 5 is the creators of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. The gift that they have given to the world with the creation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cannot be oversold. They definitely changed the path of my life with their creation, and certainly the lives of many other people. But I love the Ninja Turtles. Big fan of the original cartoon series. And then once you get into that, and then you start digging into the original comic stories where they're a little bit grittier and a little bit more violent, these characters are incredible. And there's a reason they have such a lasting legacy for a team of 4 comic book characters. Landon, what do you have for number 4?
All right, my number 4 is Rick Riordan. Writer of books such as Percy Jackson and the Olympians. He was a classic staple for pretty much all my childhood up until like early high school years. I've always loved his work, and he's shit on transphobes online a couple of times, so you gotta give him credit for that.
Way to go, Rick. Yeah, he's got several series out there. I think the like Norse mythology one would probably be the one that would get me the most. That being said, I haven't read any of his books, but I did enjoy the newer Percy Jackson series. It's way better than the movie, which I like. Halfway through it, sitting in the theater, I was like, I wasted my money here. But I don't feel that way about the series. So
I really loved I love Percy Jackson, and the Olympians series. But then I also really love the Kane Chronicles. I think that one's been my favorite.
Yeah.
It's like the Egyptian mythology one. It's only 3 books, but it's really interesting, like the different way that like their magic works than like and their gods work than like Greek mythology did. And then I thought it was really funny when I was watching Moon Knight how much like overlap there kind of was with like what I don't know if they like intentionally pulled from it, but like I thought it was, maybe I'm wrong, but it's been a while since I've read them, but it was similar, like things that they did. They even had like a hippo goddess show up.
And well, that was directly from the Moon Knight comics, but it's not
like,
necessarily.
She's almost like a nurse, though, right? Because like that's what she is in the Kane Chronicles series too. So I thought that was a very interesting.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see that the MCU and Disney specifically pulled from somebody else's IP.
Well, it's Disney Hyperion, I think, is the publisher. So like, I was
right,
like,
they own it all. They have room to work within that framework anyway. But I wouldn't be shocked if they were borrowing good ideas from somebody else's work to make it happen. They certainly seem to do that fairly regularly.
And we need an author to shit on transphobes.
My favorite example of this, maybe you guys are aware of this, but maybe you aren't, the show Once Upon a Time. So Disney was in talks with Dark Horse Comics to make a television series based on what is it? Fable? Yes, Fables. To make a television series based on Fables. And then as they were like working on plot ideas and writing a story and getting it all kind of figured out before they went to filming, Disney pulled out of that contract and decided not to go forward with the Fable show because they own the rights to every one of those characters through their different movies and stuff. And so instead of going with Fables, they came out with Once Upon a Time and just almost wholesale copied the idea of Fables. But then the Fables creators couldn't do anything about it because it's close but different, and they had the rights to all the characters, so they couldn't really do anything about it. And that was basically a case of Disney being like, "You guys have a good idea, fuck you though. You won't get to be a part of it. We're gonna do it ourselves." Which I always think that's really shit. Like, it's the reason I never supported that show, even though I had a lot of friends that watched and enjoyed it. But I was just like, these guys suck.
I watched it. I enjoyed it. I didn't know all that. I watched it. I enjoyed it, but it was never a good show in my mind. I know some people absolutely adored it.
It was very CW-ish.
It was very like, this is almost good.
That part.
This is almost prestige television.
Yeah. Did you guys watch it at all?
I saw bits and pieces. It was never something that really caught my attention, though.
Jen?
Yeah, I watched several seasons, and then it got a little too CW, and I was like, I'm gonna pass.
Yeah,
So
Katrina watched all
watching
of it, but I never could get into it. And I gave her all of this, and her being in marketing and advertising and stuff, and as an artist, I mean, that's what she does for a living. You'd think she would be like solidarity with the artist, but she was like, I'm gonna watch it. It's okay. And I was like, oh, babe, come on. God, who were we on? That was my Did I say
That was
that Landon's number 4?
Jordan, yeah.
That got us down this whole rabbit hole. Jen, what do you have for number 4?
I swear all my picks are all Terry's. So my 4th is Terry Goodkind. So he actually wrote the Sword of Truth series. That's the first book in this series, Wizard's First Rule. Actually started, I can't remember when I started reading this. This is an excellent book. Again, they made a TV show about this book, and I was brokenhearted. Very CW-ish. Like it was a really good book, and then I saw it come to life, and it just really wasn't like hitting the mark that the books did.
This is my first
I
edition
like
of
the
Wizard's
books way
First
better.
Rule. I have a first edition hardcover of Wizard's First Rule.
Oh my god! I love that you have that. Oh my
Which
god!
one is it? Let's see. One of these, Chainfire. One of these is signed by Terry Goodkind. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. Hold on just a second. I'm gonna show you guys.
Tell me about this series. I know nothing about it.
So Terry Goodkind was writing the Sword of Truth series around the same time that Robert Jordan was writing the Wheel of Time series. And they kind of wended back and forth between borrowing each other's ideas. Now, Terry Goodkind never commented on it, but Robert Jordan was asked about it one time, and he's like, if you're curious as to who's stealing off of who, just check the publication dates. So he kind of intimated that Terry Goodkind was stealing his ideas, but that's not actually 100% accurate, because as the book's released, they kind of went back and forth. God, which one is it? I think it's this one. Yeah, there you go. This one's signed by Terry Goodkind.
I love that.
But I will say I'm a huge fan of all of Terry Goodkind's books. I think he did a great job with the stories. I know that when they made Legend of the Seeker, the reason they changed the story so much from the books to the show is because they were concerned that Sword of Truth was too similar to Star Wars. With the idea of like the hero being a poor kid from a small town, and then a woman in a white dress shows up and changes his life, kind of thing. Now, I don't agree with that. I think that the hero's journey is so intrinsically part of like fantasy that you could point at almost any other fantasy series and you're going to find a Star Wars analog somewhere in there. So I always thought that was kind of a shit reason to change what was a really good story. I do love the Sword of Truth series. Richard Rahl is probably one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. I love what he stands for. I love everything he does and who he is. I also have the Sword of Truth tattooed on the back of my neck. It was my first tattoo. I got it when I was 20 years old.
Heck yeah.
And I'm a big fan. I made the Sword of Truth at one point. All the letters have fallen off of it, and my son has it in his room. But yes, Terry Goodkind is an incredible author. Rest in peace, Terry. He also had a love for Formula One racing, and I believe he died of, I think, cancer. He like kind of wasted away in his final days. But I know that after the end of the original Sword of Truth series, the like series following that, like Richard and Kaylin series after that, kind of tapers off. The quality isn't as good as the initial like 10 books in the series, but those first 10 books are awesome. Like I've reread them multiple times and I love the characters and I always love visiting the world. All right, Randy, what do you have for number 4?
I have K.A. Applegate. She's the author of, or one of the authors of, Animorphs.
Yeah,
she has another one called The Enderling, or I don't know if it's The Enderling or Endling. I think it's The Endling. Full disclosure, I've not read the Animorphs all the way through, but I have heard podcasts where they talk about it, and it just seems like a really cool, like more intense than you would think series for kids. And I think she's just like a cool person for having written them. And then I don't really know that much about her personally. Hopefully she's a good person, but she seems like it from what I have seen. But just like it's a series that, like, if you've never read it, you've seen these covers, which she didn't do the art for the covers, but like I think every kid from the 90s has seen an Animorph cover and flipped through the book to watch the little thing in the corner transform. it's a book. It's a series that's on my list because they're like probably a day to read a piece because they're fairly short. But yeah, I like her like vision as an author from the synopsis of the series that I've heard.
Did you see the? Do you watch Dropout?
Mhm.
Did you see the 1 year later Game Changer episode where Vic Michaelis animorphed from a squid back to herself?
Mhm.
That was so funny.
Yep.
She came in a giant
Squid?
squid.
My
Yeah,
God.
she came in a giant red squid costume, and then slowly, as they went through the episode, she like removed the pieces. So she went from a giant squid head to a smaller squid head, and then they started like cutting off pieces. And by the end, she was down to like a t-shirt and her underwear, and she's like, "I fully anamorphed back to myself." It was so funny.
There's a podcast called 8-Bit Book Club, and it's the same people from Critical Role, Dimension 20, not all
Yeah.
of them, but like Emily Axford, Brian Murphy,
Mhm.
Caldwell Tanner. They have they will read a nerdy book or a book based on a video game, and they read the Animorphs book, and Murph had read them all as a kid, so he was like saying like what he remembered about them because they just read the first book, and he says like a major spoiler. You can find it on YouTube, and they just absolutely lose their shit at him for like spoiling it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And they're like half kidding and half not, and he like actively feels bad about it, and it's just such a great little bit that they did.
Landon, I know you've got Billy's list. What did he have for number 4?
Yes.
Billy Rhodes, number 4. Chuck Palahniuk.
Chuck Palahniuk.
Chuck Palahniuk. Cool. Best known for Fight Club and the 2 other graphic novel sequels. He mostly sticks to the realm of absurd and dark humor. One of my favorites is a short story in his novel Haunted titled Guts. It's about a guy that gets addicted to getting his asshole sucked. Hijinks ensue.
It's a real page turner.
I'll take your word on that.
Randy, what do we have in chat?
We have CJ Love Lady, Gregory Maguire. I'm not familiar.
I am, and I can't think of what I know him from. Gregory Maguire wrote. Oh, he's the writer of Wicked. Yeah, dude. After watching the movie in the theater, I needed to know more, and I'd been like seeing the differences between the like book and the movie, and like what they changed from the book and the musical, and so I read Wicked, and which I actually listened to an audiobook version narrated by Gregory Maguire himself, and that book is so different from what they put on the stage, and I get it because it's supposed to be an alternate reality where things were done just a little bit differently. But man, that it's such a more optimistic story in both the musical and the movie. But the book, like Elphaba is like a total fucking badass in the book, like in a way that she is not in the movie. She's incredible. She's like James Bond. Like she's fucking awesome. And that really doesn't translate to the musical as well.
She's a badass in other ways. The musical.
Yeah, she is, but not the way that she is in the book.
Yeah.
So she's awesome in the book. I would say if you've never read Wicked, check it out. I haven't finished Son of a Witch. That's the next one I'm working on right now. But
then we have Fox Pixar Media, Pat Proft. Look at his writing credits. I have them pulled up.
okay.
And he is like a genius writer. I'll say that. Police Academy, Bachelor Party, Moving Violation, Real Genius, Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad, Lucky Stiff, Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, Hot Shots, Brain Donors, Hot Shots Part 2, Naked Gun 33 plus 1/3, The Final Insult, High School High, Mr. Magoo, Wrongfully Accused, Scary Movie 3 and 4. He dropped off maybe a little in 4 and 5.
Oh yeah.
Bachelor Party 2, The Last Temptation, Mostly Ghostly.
Yeah. You had me at Police Academy. I'm with Jen on that.
He had me at Hot Shots and Wrongfully Accused.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you say this guy also worked on The Last Temptation of Christ?
No, Bachelor Party 2 was called The Last.
Okay, I was about to say
Last Temptation.
To do just a whole bunch of like parody movies and then randomly pull out The Last Temptation of Christ would be fucking insane.
He got born again.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a weird couple years there.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, spoof movies are a thing that I kind of wish would come back.
Yeah. Well,
And be good.
Yeah, I was
And be
gonna say,
good.
and be
Because like I
good.
said, he maybe fell off a little bit in Scary Movie 4 and 5. But yeah.
And then what was the next one we had?
The next one was Dan O'Bannon.
Yeah. So Eric Johnson had Dan O'Bannon. This is the original writer of Alien, which is based on a story he wrote with Ronald Shusett. I'm not going from memory here. I have it pulled up on my computer. But yeah, he wrote Alien Resurrection, Alien 3, Alien Covenant, Dark Star, Return of the Living Dead. So yeah, I could say this guy, prolific, absolutely. Also, he's a book writer. The Long Tomorrow, Blue Thunder. Yeah, absolutely. Great choice, Eric. My number 4 is the original fantasy daddy himself. It's Jonathan Rolkin. No, is it Jolkin Rolkin? I forget what the third one is. J.R.R. Tolkien, anyway, is what I was getting at. Yes, so the Oxford English professor, he was a World War I veteran and decided that he wanted to see what it was like to create his own language and how hard it would be to do so. And as part of that exercise, he created an entire world, created the story of The Lord of the Rings, and then the subsequent prequel, The Hobbit. Originally, Lord of the Rings was one giant book that was too big to publish by itself. Written in 6 broken up volumes. And then whenever they finally decided to publish it, they broke it into 3 pieces. So the books are Lord of the Rings is actually 6 books broken into 3 books. That was initially 1 book encompassing
Wasn't he really
all
mad
of them.
about that too?
Huh?
Wasn't he really mad that it got broken up too?
I've never heard that, but I could see it.
I think he was like being like, well, the third book doesn't work as its own thing, even though like it does. But like, I think I've heard that somewhere where like he was like, no, they're supposed to be together.
Yeah, well, you'll notice that in on reading it as opposed to watching the movies, Two Towers, the group headed to, let's see if I can remember, it's been a minute since I've read this. After they split up at the end of Fellowship of the Rings, in the Two Towers, it is that book only contains stories about the Gimli, Aragorn, and Legolas and their quest to find Merry and Pippin, and then you don't get back to Sam and Frodo until Return of the King. And obviously the movies didn't do that. They kind of intermingled everything. But yeah, I could see where Tolkien was like, you as these broken stories, if you break it into one book, like this Two Towers, like my main characters are not in them at all. But and Tolkien was prolific. He was also messy. You could tell this guy had ADHD and a hyperfixation on languages. He would write things about Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit on little notes of scrap paper and stick it somewhere on his desk. And so if you've ever seen the expanded collections, like the Long Road and Many Other Tales, or any of the other stuff published in conjunction with his son, Christopher Tolkien, those are all taken from just random notes he had scattered around his desk when he died. And his son had to take them all, compile them, put them in chronological order of where he thought his dad wanted them to go, and then connect the narratives so that they could publish more J.R.R. Tolkien books after his death, because he wrote a lot that he never got to publish.
And that's why one of the pages just says milk, eggs, bread, because it was a note for his grocery list, but they weren't sure, so they threw it in there.
So they added it in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Also, this is a really good picture of him. Like, when was this taken? It's like color and like good resolution.
It was like 2024, I think.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, I have no idea when that picture was taken, but yeah, it's I'm assuming it was colored after the fact.
Oh, okay, that would make sense.
But I mean, every other picture I could find of Tolkien was black and white, so I'm assuming that got fixed in post. But yeah, anyway, I love Lord of the Rings. I love the world of Middle Earth and all of the expanded lore that Tolkien has shared, but definitely changed my life. I started reading Lord of the Rings in 6th grade, and for every year up until maybe like 10-ish, 11-ish years ago, I reread the series every year, and now I do it more sporadically. But then I also like once a year will just pick a day and watch the extended editions of Lord of the Rings just to have
I've
it
never
part of
watched
my
them
life.
all, but like my friends do that. Well, they'll have like a marathon, and I'm like,
I'll
I
just
don't-
clear a day and
Yeah.
watch all 3 in one sitting.
Is it really worth watching like multiple
Mhm.
times? Like, I mean,
Absolutely.
okay, because
Absolutely.
I've watched the
Yes.
movies, but not the extended versions.
Get him,
so
Jen.
Yes.
I'll have to partake then.
Absolutely. There's like once
Yeah.
a year you need to watch those. Those are amazing.
During COVID, whenever everybody was on TikTok, I had an idea to do like a movie review, but only like 30 seconds of a movie at a time, starting with like Lord of the Rings. So like the first 30 seconds of Lord of the Rings, it's just the title credit.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
just
not very
the-
far in the movie.
I'll be
on
like,
that.
this one wasn't that great, but we'll see if it gets better.
CJ Lovelady said Tolkien died in 1973. There were color photos then.
Well, I know, but it's
but
just
not that
so-
crystal clear.
But
don't
he
think.
was a professor. This could be like and an author. So this could be like
That is a very high def picture of him though, for a camera from 1973.
I'm
But
sure it
anyway,
got cleaned up.
yeah, I think fixed in post probably. Tolkien's son hated the movies. Fun fact, thanks, Billy. That is a fun fact. Okay, Landon, what did Billy have for number 4? Wait, no, that was my number 4. Landon, what do you have for number 3?
My number 3, I believe I had down as Douglas Adams.
Ooh, good one.
Him?
Yes. Sorry, I kind of switched my number 3 and my number 2 around a little bit. So just Douglas Adams, author of the 6-book trilogy of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's just a really good dry wit romp that's also absurdist and just otherwise fantastic. Like, seriously, read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Or
If you
listen
haven't,
to it on
do it.
audiobook, because there are 6 fucking books.
Yeah, there's also a television series and a movie.
Yeah, or you can remind me again. Is the radio play version the original version? Is that Lost Media?
I don't know.
I thought I heard somewhere that was Lost Media. I could be wrong. If it exists, listen to that as well. Listen to all of it, just all of it. Even play the terrible game from the early 2000s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
play that
wasn't
as
aware
well.
there was a game.
Oh yeah, there is. You can fuck up the whole thing just by missing the Babelfish at the very beginning, and it ruins your game because you can't finish it, but it lets you go for hours beyond that. It's great.
Let's see.
Is this a real cat or is this a taxidermied cat?
It looks taxidermy.
Because I love this. I love this cat. I don't know if there's a story behind that.
Creepy ass cat.
I don't see it under Lost Media.
Okay, good. And I want to say that's a taxidermy cat, but I've also seen my own cat make that face a couple of times, so it could just be good timing.
I hope you put it in the bathroom when the cat does that. That's weird.
Yeah. Jen, what did you have for number 3?
Oh, Anne Rice. Actually, Danny, I know we've talked about Anne Rice many times in the past.
Yeah, I love Anne Rice.
Dude, same. I have she's probably my most favorite stories of vampires of all times. I love the lore of the vampires that she has. The only negative about her, she does kind of kill me sometimes when she starts like talking about details about like the mostly like architecture. I guess she must be like a huge architecture fan, because I remember there was a time where she started describing the I think it was the house that Lasher was in, and she like started with like the wrought iron fence and starts going into like the shingles on the front porch, and you honestly could have like skipped like a couple of pages. She goes into like so much details, but absolutely love her books. I don't think there was any book that I picked up from her that I didn't love. So I've read many of her series, and they're just amazing.
I loved Anne Rice, and I read all of her novels up until she became a born-again Christian and stopped writing about vampires and witches and started writing about angels. Yeah. And then she kind of lost me.
There's that.
Because she was so pro like LGBTQIA+ in her vampire series, and that was really important to her. And then when she became a born-again Christian, she abandoned all of that and became super like Christian-y, almost puritanistic about it. And then it was like, this is such a reversal of who you were as an author that I cannot support this. But yeah, prior to that, I loved her. Memnoch the Devil
Yeah.
is one of the best books she's ever written. Queen of the
Agreed.
Damned was incredible.
Mhm.
When they made the movie, they merged Vampire Lestat and Queen of the Damned into one story, which was a shame.
Travis.
And like some of the other like comic media I've seen in my life, like the Crow movie that they just made, if they had called it anything else, Queen of the Damned probably would have been fine. But because they named it after one of my favorite books in the series and then bastardized the story completely, it made it hard for me to watch. Even though Jonathan Davis did the entire soundtrack and supplied the voice for Lestat, which I thought was really cool. But the movie just compared to the book is so bad.
Yeah. And you know, in the Vampire Lestat, like that book, that's actually the first book that I read, and then I went back and I was like, oh, there's Interview with a Vampire, and the Vampire Lestat is such a good book. It's such an amazing book to actually like get down deep into like to Lestat's past and everything. But and then Queen of the Damned, oh my god, I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. That was awful that they did that. They really should have made at least 2 movies with that. So.
Yeah, Katrina was watching the newer the what's I think it's a doesn't matter, the newer series for Interview with the Vampire that they just came out with, and they're good, but like she was like, I hate Louis, he sucks. And I was like, well, Louis not the main character. Lestat is the hero of the Anne Rice vampire novels. So if you read the books and get past Interview with a Vampire, when you get to the stuff where Lestat's the main character, that's when it gets good. And he's not. They kind of paint him as a villain from Louis' perspective in Interview with a Vampire, but Louis is a fucking crybaby. And by the time you get to Vampire Lestat's a hero. Like he's such a cool character. And every live action version that we've seen to date does not pay him homage to the way that it should.
You know, I think they messed up when they made Tom Cruise Lestat. They really should have picked, in my opinion, someone else. I mean, I think she had like Julian Sands, I think, in mind, and then like Daniel Day-Lewis. I think they should have picked someone else.
Daniel Day-Lewis would have been a great Lestat. The only unfortunate thing about that is he would have been actually killing people just to get ready for the role, and walking around with vampire teeth, you know, just as he does.
I mean, character. Method acting.
Yeah, super method. Billy Rhodes said Aaliyah was smoking hot in that movie. Yes, she was, and it is a shame that her final film was Queen of the Damned, and she had a great part in it, and the film was not nearly up to what it could have been. Let's see. Randy, what did you have for number 3?
My number 3 is Akira Toriyama. That's a terribly low resolution picture. Sorry. But yeah, just, you know, that was my childhood. Not that I read them, but like read the manga, but like the anime, grew up with it. Someone has gone. Super
I also
Saiyan
love
at the
Akira
thought
Toriyama.
of Akira Toriyama. And then like one thing about just this mangakas, I love that they have like their little. I don't have a picture of him, but their little portraits that they do of themselves, where he's like a little robot in a gas mask. And yeah, just I mean, like he, you know, people can complain about.
Jen finally noticed my hair.
Distracted.
I was like, what the hell? Danny.
But it's just I don't know. Everybody knows Dragon Ball Z, and then we've talked about like Dragon Quest, just that art style. I love that art style. And then just it's not like a mind-blowing story, but it was like it's foundational for just anime in general, and I mean maybe Western action stuff too. But yeah. And then he passed away. I think it's like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, has it been like, 2 years already?
I think so.
God.
And that was, you know, tragic. I don't think it was expected, but mangakas work themselves like to death. Yeah. There's so many mangakas that like work so hard for so long and like then have to take breaks for health reasons. And I don't know if he ever like really did. I never like remember hearing about him as much as
he passed
others,
off
but...
the art the arts duties for Dragon Ball years before he passed. And the person that he passed him off to is still going to be making new Dragon Ball stuff. So he did, but I think it was around the time he started having health problems. He stepped away.
Because I know like Yu Yu Hakusho, that mangaka, I don't know their name, but like he's had like he never like Hunter x Hunter isn't finished because back issues. So like whether or not he'll ever finish it, we don't know. But they just like they're hard workers. They like draw every panel, and I assume write most of them because maybe not all of them now. But like Oda, he has like a team now, so he's kind of chilling with One Piece, not killing himself over it. But just mangakas in general are just masters at what they do, and he's one that like I know a lot of current mangakas look up to, and were crushed by his passing, of course.
Toriyama's huge for me. Dragon Ball Z was the anime that got me into anime.
Same.
I would get up early, and it's the only reason I would get up early ever. I would get up early before school to watch DBZ before I had to go to school. And then thankfully they put it on like Cartoon Network, and then you could watch it there. But yeah, I love DBZ. I'm thankfully I've been fortunate enough to be friends with a couple of DBZ actors now because of the show, because of the con that we put on. So if you follow me on Facebook, Chris Rager, the voice of Mr. Satan, is a friend of mine now. And then the John Swayze, who was on last week, he's the voice of Dodoria, or not Dodoria. God, that's
Dodoria.
Is it Dodoria? Dodoria from the Cell Saga, or from the Frieza Saga. But yeah, I did, and I haven't been ballsy enough to add him yet. But Chris Sabat came up at People I May Know on Facebook the other day, and I was like, "Do I want to be friends with Vegeta?"
Do it.
Kind of do.
He's the voice of Dragon Ball.
Vegeta, Piccolo. He's also All Might
and Shenron.
He's so many different. He's Zoro from One Piece. But anyway, been fortunate enough that I'm now in the circle of these incredible voice actors, and Damian Clark, the voice of Cell. We had him in our anime show 2 years ago. Well, not this last one, but the one prior. And he was just a fucking blast, like one of the greatest people on the planet. And I still, think fondly of him every day. But anyway, that all being said, I just love DBZ, and I love Toriyama, and I love that he created that and brought it into our lives. Any DBZ love from the hosts over there?
I mean, yeah, I grew up as a young boy in America in the 2000s. Of course, I watched DBZ like crazy. Of course, I played a shit ton of the games. Of course, I tried to get into the manga and then realized Dragon Ball is not the same, does not start at the same place as Dragon Ball Z, and was very confused.
Yeah.
So,
Landon was there that Sunday after Anime 2024, where the DBZ actors took us all out for sushi. And we stayed, like, the sushi place closed at like 9, and we were still there at like 10:30, and we were like, I guess we should leave. And it was a great time. Anyway, Jen, you got DBZ memories?
I didn't really get into Dragon Ball Z. Sorry.
All right, Landon, what did Billy have for number 3?
Were you a Sailor Moon girly?
No.
That's fine too. Inuyasha?
Not that either.
Those are like the foundational ones that that I know of.
Go ahead, Landon.
No, I grew up on watching other stuff.
You grew up on what?
Watching other stuff.
I started off with like more old school, like Studio Ghibli and stuff like that.
Oh, got it.
Billy Rhodes. Number 3. Chuck Klosterman. Mostly writes non-narrative essay types of things. Most notable for being the 90s and Hypotheticals. 50 questions for insane conversation. My favorite question being the one about how a friend's fiance admits to murder when he was a child.
Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs is what I'm seeing from 2003. He wrote the 90s. Is that what the movie is based off of?
Maybe.
So serial killers eat Cocoa Puffs?
Mm-hmm. Maybe not. Anyway, that's cool. Good choice, Billy. I'm not familiar with this guy, but I will have to get familiar with him. Randy, what do we have in chat?
Fox Pixar Media says real watchers currently watching them now.
Let's see. Real watchers.
I was trying to Google it. Is that a YouTube channel? Is what I was finding.
I hear keys clicking. I see it on Instagram, YouTube. Yeah, looks to be a YouTube situation.
Always looking for.
Okay,
a
what
new
else we got?
YouTube channel. CJ Lovelady, James Vandermeer, Annihilation, and the other Southern Reach novels. He followed me on Blue Sky last night, and I shit a brick. I haven't read those. They're like in my cart to purchase because like people really like the movie, and I've heard the books are even like better and crazier, and that it's like a trilogy. So I was like, I gotta.
Apparently, he's there's also a hockey player by that name, and that was the first result I clicked on.
But yeah, I know the movie's fun.
What else we got in chat?
Eric Johnson, Bill Watterson.
Bill Watterson. What is he?
Watterson.
Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, fuck. I love Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, it's Calvin and Hobbes. I love it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I love Calvin and Hobbes. It was there was a collection. It was the unadulterated Calvin and Hobbes that I had as a kid, and I read it cover to cover multiple times. Huge fan of Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, Bill Watterson is kind of living my dream. He created something amazing, and that was just like, you know what? I'm going to leave society and just paint from now on.
Yeah.
Gotta respect that. That's the life I want to live.
Okay. That is all of chat, is it not?
Yes. For
My number 3 is a friend of mine, but also an incredible author. Her name is Brianna Bright. She has written multiple series, The Shepherd and the Horn Girl being one of them. Also the In the End trilogy. She has another book coming out in this series. You can find her books on Amazon. She's an incredible author. She does a great job characterizing or writing characters that you can really connect with. And you know, she's also one of my best friends in the world, but that's not why she's on my list. She's a great author. But yeah, she's a former, she's been on the show before. We've had her for a Star Wars episode in a previous show that we used to do. She's been a guest on the show. She helps us sometimes at the cons. And she's just great. She's a great person. And I can tell you that she writes from a place of passion, and it shows. But that is my number 3. Landon, what do you have for number 2?
My number 2 is Sir Terry Pratchett.
Hell yeah.
Truly, I do love the Discworld series. I have not read every single book, but the ones that I have were fantastic. My favorite one definitely being The Hogfather. I just think he's great. Once again, a lot of dry wit coming from him, and it's just, I don't know, I just really like him.
This is my Terry Pratchett section right here. And I have more books over there. I'm a big fan of Terry Pratchett as well. His wit, his sarcasm, it comes through, it drips from everything that he writes. You can tell it takes a very British mentality to write the things that he writes. And it's incredible. Reaper Man is my favorite of his books, and it is actually the book that I loaned to Katrina whenever we worked together, that after we no longer worked together, that I met up with her to get from her, that led to us dating and eventually being married. So I can thank Terry Pratchett for many things in my life. But least of all, or no, not least of all. Anyway, not least of all, bringing my wife and I together.
Yeah.
But yeah, my kids and I watch Hogfather every year. The BBC version of it. It's 3 hours long, broken into. It's longer than it actually, isn't it? It's like 5 hours long. But anyway, we watch it every year. It's the Terry Pratchett's version of like A Christmas Story, and it's so good because it involves the Grim Reaper and his granddaughter going around trying to save Christmas. It's so funny. There's so many good bits in there. And it, you know, it features some of the best characters from the books as well. Whether you start, I would recommend starting at the beginning, which is Color of Magic, and then Light Fantastic, which are the stories of Rincewind the Wizard. But you can really pick up anywhere. And if you want to do like young adult, or you're looking for something that's a little bit easier entry, there's the Tiffany Aching books, which were Terry Pratchett's young adult series. That is just as good as his adult Discworld novels. And then also, you may already be a fan of Terry Pratchett and not realize it. He wrote Good Omens with
Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman, which is the series that stars David Tennant and Michael Sheehan, that has taken Amazon by storm. And that is a Terry Pratchett story. And in the I don't know that he necessarily features in the show. I don't remember if he did or not, but Death, who is the main overarching hero of all of Terry Pratchett's books, he's the hero of that Discworld series. Actually, that same Death shows up in Good Omens as one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse at the end of the book. So I don't remember if they featured him in the show or not, though. But anyway, yes, love Terry Pratchett. Great choice, Landon. Great choice. Jen, what did you have for number 2?
Number 2, I'm starting to get into my smut books. So I love Jennifer Armentrout. She actually has 2 book series. This is one of them. It's from Blood and Ash. And then there is another book series that is called Flesh and Fire. There's 9 books in all. There's another book coming out in June. Yeah, it's kind of like one's kind of sort of like a prequel, and then the other one kind of carries on the story. But they're really good if anybody is interested in sort of kind of medium smut, heavy smut. I'm not really sure, but it's a really good story too.
I have no qualms with romantasy. I have checked out several of those series, and they're great. I mean, who doesn't love a little bit of steamy sex in the middle of their fantasy setting? I know I do. So if you're
realistic,
if you're staying away from romantasy titles because you think they're just for women, that's dumb. Check them out. Never judge a book by its cover. And sometimes you got to get under the covers to really find out whether you like something or not. That was a double entendre.
Smut? Gross.
Yeah. Randy, what did you have for number 2?
My number 2 is Jonathan Sims is the author's name. He writes the Magnus Archives. It's a podcast. It's like a horror anthology show. It's really good. It's one of my probably all-time favorites that I've gone back and listened to several times. It starts off, it's almost like a radio play, but the author, whose character is Jonathan Sims as well, he works at this institute that takes in supernatural stories and then records them to tape. He's trying to organize the place because he took over for the previous archivist, who has just left her post, and she left one day and never came back. So he got promoted. And some of the tapes or some of the papers won't record to his computer, so he records them on tape, and those are the ones that are the weirder ones. And then there's it ends up being just stories, but then there's other characters that come in and interrupt him while he's recording, and so then there becomes this meta narrative over the whole thing, and it's just very good. And he's continued the series with Magnus Protocol, I think is what the next series is called. And I haven't gotten into that one yet, but it's just a very good series. He's a very good writer and he's a very good performer too, because he's the one who's reading them all. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, or if you need something to listen to that's a little bit spooky, that's definitely my number 1 recommend to people.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I've ever successfully gotten anybody to listen to it, so please listen to it.
I've actually tried listening to the Magnus Archives a couple of times. The only issue is it's something I want to listen to when I have time to actually absorb everything.
Mhm.
And most of the time when I have my earbuds in, it's because I'm doing some sort of work.
Yeah, I would say I started listening to it when I was driving a lot, so I would have like 3 hours of driving that I could just listen to like break out 3 of them at a time and not be interrupted by anything.
Fair enough.
But yeah.
Yeah, I've been adjacent to it for a while. My son listens to it. Damien, he listens to it constantly. He talks about it all the time. He loves the Magnus Archives, but I've never delved into listening to it myself.
It's so good. It starts off where it's like you got to get used to like the stories, but then once it gets into the meta narrative is where it's like really starts popping off because it's all recorded on tapes, and then there's like a reason, like they'll be like, why did this tape start recording? Like, are you recording our conversation? And they're like, I didn't start it. And so there's like this whole mystery of like what's recording everything that you're hearing, because they'll like leave the room and you'll hear them like muffled talking outside, but then then there's other time. It's a fun way of like why they're doing that.
CJ Lovelady had a message for you in the chat.
Oh yeah. I haven't listened to Old Gods of Appalachia, but I know it's been advertised on the
he says you check it out, he'll check out Magnus Archives.
Okay.
So
okay. I didn't read the whole
better
thing.
Get on it.
I'm bad at reading. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I will definitely do that.
Landon, what did Billy have for number 2?
Billy Rhodes, number 2. 2-time Hugo Award nominee, Dr. Chuck Tingle, the best author in the universe. Weirdly enough, the third Chuck on this very Chuck-heavy list. Let me tell you about this angel on earth, this god amongst men, this Adonis given to humanity in the form of a literary genius. So listen up, buckaroos. Master of absurdism, surrealism, and eroticism. He has penned beautiful masterpieces such as the Space Raptor Buck Trilogy, Dungeons, Dragons, and Buckaroos, and, in my humble opinion, most importantly, the Harriet Porber series, an entire book series he created in response to some other dumb, hateful turf of an author that doesn't know how to keep her fucking mouth shut and just collect the royalty checks. I believe this is the 5th time I've brought him up on this podcast. And fun side note, there is a TTRPG based on his wild butt stuff, Loving Universe. I'm trying to get a copy of that. So I'm trying to get a copy, and that I'm trying to get a copy of that. Can Landon's and I first Power Noodles Let's Play live stream.
Oh, okay. I kind of understand what he's saying there. I would like to be a part of that live play stream as well, if I can be.
Hell yeah.
I looked up some of the titles, and some of these are like isekai length titles.
Yeah.
And they're very fun.
Chuck Tingle it's Tingle, right? Chuck.
Yep,
yeah.
Tingle.
Yeah, he has been mentioned on this a lot, almost every time. No, not almost, but every time it's by Billy. And I have not checked him out yet, and I owe him a great debt to check them out eventually. I need to figure out what is so great about Chuck Tingle, other than all the great stuff Billy says about him.
Also, CJ Lovelady, yes.
You can't
I'm not
go
saying
fifth
what I'm
base
yes
on
to.
that.
You can figure.
Can you
I have no
bust up
shame
on live stream? Might have to do that on Cutting Edge Hero After Dark on our OnlyFans. But anyway, Randy, the great Randini, what do we have in chat?
We have Fox Pixar saying the Wachowskis. They did The Matrix, The Speed Racer, Cloud Atlas, which I think Larry goes by Lily now.
Yes,
Directed the 4th one.
Yes,
I think
the
it's
Wachowski
Lily and
sisters
Lana.
now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do love like their work. The 4th Matrix was okay.
The 4th Matrix was
It was
garbage.
fun. I think it was fun.
What was fun about it? Neo does this the whole
Trinity,
like that's it. That's his whole powers.
Trinity gets powers, and
this
it's
incredible kung fu martial artist.
Trinity
and every
gets
other
powers,
one.
and it's fun.
It's and this whole movie, Neo's on the back of a motorcycle, just like putting his hands up, and that's all he does.
The worst part of Matrix 4 was there was no Imagine Dragons needle drop.
Oh my god.
But no, I love at the end they bring back the wonky CGI flying.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't think they did it on purpose in the second one or the first one, or I don't
it's the
remember
first one.
First one,
He flies,
but they
off
bring
in the
it back
first
and they're like, we could do this better. No, we're gonna act like it's on purpose. I'm fired, apparently.
one.
I'm just a
Anyway,
young gun with a quick fuse.
what else we got?
Let's see. Oh,
You're up too far.
yep. Can't count either. CJ Lovelady says Christy Golden, former story director for WoW, wrote many of the old Ravenloft novels. Most recently, been working on Star Wars.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a pretty prolific resume.
So I've not read any. That's another one that they've covered on the 8-Bit Book Club. They've done some WoW novels, and they
Yeah.
seem decent. Like, you know, like well done for, I mean, a game's like ancillary media stuff.
I'm excited about this number 2 right here.
Eric Johnson, Margaret Weiss, and Tracy Hickman.
Yes, Margaret Weiss and Tracy
Weiss.
Hickman, the team that brought us the greatest of the Dragonlance novels. I believe it begins with Dragons of Summer Flame and goes from there. That might not be the first one, actually. I think Spring is the first one. But anyway, they give us Raistlin and Tanis Half-Elven. Some of the greatest characters from the Dragonlance universe all appear in these novels. And then we got the 4th novel some years after the original trilogy ended. But these are great. If you haven't had a chance to read the Dragonlance novels, read the Dragonlance novels. They're some of the best novels in fantasy fiction, and they tell some of the best stories of any fantasy world.
I need to read more.
Yeah.
I don't read enough. There's so many books of these that look awesome, and I need to read them.
Is that all of chat?
Yes.
Fantastic. My number 2, there's a Wheel of Time television series on Amazon Prime that is based on his novels that is absolutely dog shit compared to actually reading the books. Jen, it looked like you were agreeing with me until I finished that sentence. I apologize if you're a fan of the series.
Okay.
They did my boy Perrin dirty. He's all wrong in that show. Perrin is all wrong, and he's my favorite character. But anyway, I love Matt. I love Perrin. I love Rand. They're all great characters.
Yeah.
And I just feel like they've gotten Rand right. Season 1, Matt was correct. But they lost that guy. I haven't gotten far enough into season 2 to know whether that Matt is good or not. But Perrin has been wrong from the beginning, and it makes it really hard for me to watch. I get nerd rage every time I tune in because Perrin is so far off from what he should be.
Apparently, season 4, like episode 3, pops off.
Okay, I will get around to watching it eventually.
People are like, it's crazy that it's so good, but it's 4 seasons in, or 3. I don't remember what they're on.
I think they're on the 3rd.
They're on like 3, and but it's like apparently it gets really good, like Game of Thrones level good, early season Game of Thrones level good.
I was gonna say that's also a very steep,
but
good.
But like
bad.
the fact that it's like 3rd season before it does that is people are.
But anyway,
like,
it's Robert Jordan, the author of the Wheel of Time series. I am a huge fan of the series. It's one of the great fantasy series. 14 books in total. The last 3 were written in collaboration with Brandon Sanderson. The last 3 are my favorite books in the series. But I do love all 14 books. I've reread them a couple of times. It's a big lift to reread the series, but I have done so a couple of times. And I love it enough that I have considered getting dragons tattooed on my wrists, the way Rand has them in the books. But I've never gotten around to doing so. But anyway, love them. Love the series. I think Robert Jordan, unfortunately, due to his early passing, didn't get to finish the novels, but I think they picked the perfect person to do it for him. That being said, that is my number 2. Any of you guys read any of the Robert Jordan novels?
Sadly, I have not.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get your nerd rage with how they're not quite following the books and the characters aren't quite the same. I think I'm kind of agreeing with like one of your previous comments, where I'm just happy that they're making it and that they're trying. It's not exactly right, but at
Yeah.
the same, I mean, it definitely could be better. But I like some of the depictions. Like I like the CG with the Ajas and how they're using their magic, and like, you know, that really goes in depth with like showing the relationships that they have with their wardens and everything. I do appreciate a lot of the aspects, but yeah, I can see why, you know, you get pissed off about that stuff. So
Yeah, I try. I go into things very optimistic, and sometimes it's just there's unforgivable things that happen, and I might get around to watching it. And the one thing that I can say that I think is great is that when you get an adaptation of something and it's not good, the odds are that on a long enough timeline, someone's going to try their hand at it again, and you might get a good one. I think that's true for everything. You know, once there's a, once there is an X-Men film, someone else is going to try to make another X-Men film. And it just took forever to get the X-Men on film. And then once that happened, we've had several iterations of them. Once you get a Batman movie, somebody else is going to try their hand at it. Now that there's one Joker film, there's two Joker films, and somebody else is going to reboot Joker and tell a new story of the Academy Award winning Joker character again. So while this version of Wheel of Time isn't ideal for me, people enjoy it, and I think they enjoy it enough that they're going to sell merch, and that eventually someone's going to reboot it to make more money off of it, and we might get a more faithful adaptation. I think that's true about Game of Thrones. I think that's true about Legend of the Seeker. There's a world where on a long enough timeline we get a new iteration of these things, and they're better than the ones that we got because they can learn from the mistakes of what the first one did. While I am not overall a fan of this version of Wheel of Time, I have the books to read if I just want to see that. And then there is a possibility that within my lifetime, we will see a good adaptation that gives more of the things I would like to see and doesn't mischaracterize my favorite character in the novel completely. But yes, I agree with you, Jen. Absolutely. Landon, are you ready to give me your number one? Landon, your number one, please.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Could you say that again?
Your number one.
Oh, okay. Thank you. My number one is you, dear viewer.
If I had $1 for every time somebody on the show, somebody watching this right now, anybody told me how they really want to finish up their novel, their comic, their screenplay, their erotic Harry Potter fan fiction, I would have enough money to publish y'all. And let me tell you something. An artistic endeavor is a difficult endeavor. It just always is. But it's worth it. I know I'm probably... where am I going with this? I'm definitely not one to talk that much because I myself only have like 5 comic scripts done with a lot more ideas to go, and I should be putting more to paper, and I will eventually. But you just got to work on it. You got to get started and work on it. And whenever you all do finally finish whatever creative endeavors you are focused on right now, I look forward to seeing them. Truly, I do.
That's beautiful, Landon. Thank you. Jen, what do you got for your number one?
I can't follow up with that. I quit. Oh my God.
Yeah. We had a good run, Jen.
I know. I can't follow. Damn it. So my favorite author is the person who inspired my sleeve on my arm. It's Sarah J. Maas. She has 3 book series out. That is Valaris. That is the City of the Night Court. I know you guys have gone over character tropes, and I know that one of the character tropes I've always hated is the reluctant hero. I hate that fucking trope. Pisses me off beyond belief. But then you have a heroine such as
Boy, have I got a
Feyre.
series for you. Have you seen Daredevil Born Again?
God, ugh.
The main character is a reluctant hero for 6 out of the 9 episodes. Sorry, carry on.
No, you're right. You're totally right. And I love seeing a heroine come through, and she's not perfect, but she has abilities that she uses, and she uses her strength, and she's just herself. She never pretends to be anything different, and the things that she learned growing up help her. And she ends up uniting a lot of people, and I love the series. She has another series, Crescent City was amazing as well. And then she also has the Throne of Glass series. Those are also amazing. 3 great, well-written heroines with some hot, badass boyfriends to go along with it. Yes, they are very smutty as well, but they're great. I really recommend them to anybody really to get into like some fantasy novels and just kind of get like sucked in. I love them.
Yeah, no judgment here. We're a very sex positive show anyway, but the smut is not that's not a deal breaker for any of us, I don't think. But yeah, I completely agree. My number one has said many good things about the romantasy genre and how we should be supporting it because it is driving fantasy right now, and getting people into the fantasy genre, and basically anything that does it is good. And the fact that there's this and it's funny because there's a lot of like cis gendered male presenting people in the world who are enjoying these romantasy books, and they're also getting their first taste at reading a fantasy novel, and this romantasy world is doing it for them. And so I think it should be celebrated. I think it's incredible that it's something that has been kind of niche for a very long time is finally breaking through to a much larger audience, and I hope that continues to happen.
I hope so too.
Okay, Randy, what do you have for number 1?
My number 1 is the author of Full Metal Alchemist, one of the best series, period. Hiromu Arakawa. And this is her like little avatar that I don't know what they would call it, but
her profile pic.
Yeah, like this is their little what they have in all their mangas and stuff. Because I think she grew up on a like dairy farm, so she has like a love for cows. But like Full Metal Alchemist, I'm sure I'm not alone here. It's like the best series there is. It's nearly perfect, if not I say nearly perfect, being harsh. It's perfect. Talking about tattoos, like I don't have any tattoos, but one of the first ones that I plan on getting is a Ouroboros tattoo.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Greed is awesome. All the characters, she's just so good at writing characters and like heartfelt and funny, like and sincere, and I just love her work. She has a few other series. The newest one, what was it called? Demons of the Shadow Realm. And it's not, I don't know, it's 9 volumes. I don't know if it's ongoing, but I haven't read it. It's supposed to be really good. It's basically like her. I love her art style too, but it's a character that looks like Hawkeye from the show, and like that's the main character. And I'm like, perfect. No notes so far. So, but yeah, she's great.
So how cool was it to get to hang out with Hohenheim of Light for the weekend?
It. Absolutely loved it.
And then have him on the show last week.
I was
didn't
very
realize
excited.
FMA was your jam, bro.
Yeah. I held back or reserved my nerddom. I like barely talked to J. Michael Tatum, even though I wanted to.
Yeah.
But because I was like, they're gonna get nerded on enough. So
yeah.
But yeah,
I can say if
for sure.
Any guest we've had so far, that would have been the group to do it with, because they were at least Michael and Brandon were both anime fans. And that's like all they talked about all weekend. Yeah. Like we went out to dinner Friday night, they talked about anime almost all night. We went to dinner Saturday night, they talked about anime almost all night. That was the group to do it in, man. Because so many of these anime voice actors I meet, like John, who was like, yeah, I don't watch anime. I'm a director. I mean, he's like, I watch anime all day long. I don't want to deal with it after the fact. J. Michael Tatum and Brandon McInnes, not the same. Those dudes are fucking nerds for anime.
I didn't know if J. Michael Tatum was, but I knew Brandon. I heard him talking about him and stuff.
So we were
So
hanging
he was
out.
like fully nerding out about
we
it
were
with
hanging
people.
out at the hotel after in like the hotel lobby. We went to the bar. So let's see, Saturday night after we had dinner, we went to the bar at the hotel and hung out for a little bit, and then we closed the bar down, and then we went to and hung out in the lobby. But he was showing me his LARPing, like they LARP in LA, and he was showing me his LARPing costume, and it is head to toe like a full like coat and cowl with gold embroidery and trim, a black mask, like a Zentai mask that he can see through. And he was holding a fireball and a wizard staff in one hand. And I just looked at him and went, "You're a fucking nerd." And he was like, "Yeah."
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He's like, "You should come out to LA. We can hang out. We'll do this sometime." I was like, "Okay, let me go do that." But anyway, what do we
LARPing
have?
vacation.
Oh, what was Billy's number one, Landon?
Billy Rhodes, number 1. Neil Gaiman.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Well, let's move on.
no, I will. I agree with you. Neil Gaiman is an incredible author. Not an incredible human being. He's made some terrible choices, but that doesn't change the fact that he's a really good writer. And you know, from Good Omens to Sandman to the Graveyard Book to many other Neil Gaiman classics. Unfortunately, you know, he made some poor choices, and you know, you can't celebrate the person, but you can celebrate the artwork, I think. So let's see. That was what else we have in chat, Randy? I'm sorry, I'm discombobulated.
CJ Lovelady. I think they're back, but they were stepping away. Their number 1 is Stephen King.
Love Stephen King. He could have been on my list. He's very close to my top 5. I love the Dark Tower series. Huge fan of his fantasy novel. It's a really great series with some really touching moments, and all of the Stephen Kingly goodness that you would expect from one of his horror novels, but in a fantasy setting.
They also said, "Oof, Gaiman is almost as brave as me admitting to Lovecraft."
Yeah, Lovecraft was problematic
Lovecraft was
too.
also one that was.
Yeah,
he's gone now, so we can steal his stuff and let it proliferate through science fiction. So
Billy said, "I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of the Good Omens show." That's okay, Billy. Probably for the same reason I'm not a fan of the Wheel of Time show.
Oh, it blew my mind. Who plays Aziraphale in that?
Yeah,
He
David
plays
Tennant.
in Underworld: Rise of the Lycans.
Oh, Michael Sheen.
Yeah, I was like, huh? Like those are the same actors? That was mind blowing.
He was in the first Underworld. He
wasn't.
He's
He is. Okay, okay.
Werewolf.
Okay, yeah. I was not aware that they were the same person.
He was
married. Such a big divide in like aesthetics.
He and Kate Beckinsale got married around that time.
I didn't know that.
They met on that movie.
They had a baby.
Yeah, had a baby. But yeah, he's been in a lot. I mean, he was in Twilight too. Michael Sheen's been around for a long time. What else we got?
Fox Pixar says Ken Finkelman, Al Jean, and Mike Rice, the 3 wrote Airplane 2, the sequel.
Came out the year I was born.
I have seen the first one. I haven't seen the sequel.
The sequel's good. Yeah. Both the Airplane movies are good.
I do love the first. I like anything with Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen is incredible.
Such a good, like, comedic actor and like straight man to bring out the funny and stuff.
His whole shtick is that he was always a very serious, like very stoic actor. And then they started casting him in all these comedy things like Airplane and then the Naked Gun movies. And he never changed what he did. He still delivers all the lines as a stoic, like serious actor, but they're the dumbest fucking lines. And he's just like totally sells them. That's what makes it so funny.
A lot of the spoof movies got bad. Like disaster movie and like action movie, I think was one,
Mhm.
but superhero movie, I still stand by that. That's a very good movie.
Yeah.
And he's in it. He plays like the Uncle Ben parallel, whatever his name was in that.
Yeah.
But just that whole movie, I still
I
love
think the
as a spoof.
first scary movie was brilliant.
Mhm.
And the subsequent ones, just the arc and quality went so
Mhm.
fucking down.
I think
like, after
3
the first
was the one I saw first. So I still like 3. But after 3, they were like, meh.
Yeah. So Scary Movie 1, Not Another Teen Movie is also an incredible one
Mhm.
that just made fun of that whole like 90s, like high school, everything's going to change tonight, like trope. The from some of my favorite movies, like Trojan Wars and Can't Hardly Wait, are two of the like examples I can think of from like the 90s that I just fucking loved. And it lambasted all of those.
Mhm. And Not Another Teen Movie gave us America's Ass long
Yes.
before Marvel ever did.
Yeah, it gave us Chris Evans with a fucking banana up his butt. Yeah, for sure. But anyway,
we got Eric Johnson, who says Alan Moore, John Bolton, and Neil Gaiman.
oh, it's a tied 3-way. Alan Moore absolutely has given us some of the greatest stories in comic book history, if not just in the history of writing. Watchmen being one of them, as well as his run on Sandman and Swamp Thing, or not Sandman. His run on Constantine and Swamp Thing are both like institutionally changed the way that we looked at these characters in the comic medium. Cannot say enough good things about Alan Moore. I don't know who John Bolton is.
And sassy reviews of any adaptations of his work.
CJ Lovelady said, for Alan Moore, if you haven't read Neonomicon, do it. Okay, I'll have to do that.
I'm trying to look up
American Gods
John
is
Bolton,
good.
and all I find is the Attorney General.
For John Bolton?
Yeah.
American Gods is really good.
American Gods is really good.
Yeah.
Oh, they collaborated on
awesome.
Hellblazer and American Gods.
Dude, John Constantine, he's the man.
Yeah, I think. All I'm finding is the one guy that you found.
Unless he's like an artist for it.
Surrender is not an option. Defending, no, that's not. Anyway, moving along.
I think that was all that we have in chat currently.
Okay, my number one, and closing out our list of top 5 authors. I hope I'm not offending CJ Lovelady here, but my number one is Brandon Sanderson. He would not have been my number one a few years ago, but last year I really dove into the Cosmere series. All of the books at that point, there were 17. Now there's 18 of them. There is another Cosmere novella that's supposed to be dropping soon that I'm excited about. But dude, I love all the interconnectivity of this. Sanderson's characters, the way he establishes them, the way he builds them. There's a lot of edgelords out there that are like, Sanderson's not that good. Sanderson is fucking great, dude. I don't care. So many people I'll see like commenting on the internet, like, I just don't like his prose. Like, shut the fuck up. You don't even know what prose means. You're just saying it because you heard somebody else say it. But I think he's a great author. I think the fact that he works on creating established magical systems for every single world that his books take place on, and that they take place on multiple worlds, and that he's adventurous, and that like one of them he's like somebody was like, what would be a magic system you could create? He'd be like, what about birds? And it's like, that sounds like the dumbest shit in the world, but he's got a book series that he's working on. The new novella comes out of that world where people create a magical bond with a bird on this world, and the bird provides them with magic, and it's really good. Like, the novella from that world is very good, and I can't wait for the next one. And it's just in the Cosmere, or the Mistborn series, where it's like, what if you ate some metal and it gave you superpowers? And that's like the whole fucking idea behind those books. Yeah, they're so fucking good.
That's awesome. Yeah,
they're so fucking good. I love Mistborn.
Like his magical systems, just to expand on that, his magical systems, like when he starts, like the characters start talking about it, makes so much sense. It doesn't just feel like something that's thrown together. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he actually thought it out, like just like the Mistborn series. I think it's amazing.
some of his novellas, he was part of a podcast series where they just sat down and talk about things, and he'd challenge himself to whatever idea they came up with. He'd write a book about it. And so some of the novellas and the worlds he's created have spun out of those like fan ideas of like, could you make a power system out of painting? And then he gave us Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Like some of that has just spun out of just ideas and conversations he's had with other people, which is really cool because you can track that progression. And like what's his first book?
Is it Mistborn?
No, it's
I don't
the series. He did one book in it in this world, and he hasn't gone back to Elantris. His first book, Elantris, it's glyphs. Like glyphs are the magic system, and you have to just like draw the glyph in the air, and then that's how you use the power. It's just really cool that he has these, not just one magic system, but every world has a different magic system. And let's see, on the world for Warbreaker, it's breath. Like they can take the magic of someone's breath out of their body, and it's like the system is based on colors. I just think it's cool. CJ Lovelady said Sanderson is the most prolific fantasy author ever. My issue with him is his prose. I was not coming at you for that, CJ. I apologize, but it is the number one thing I see people say, and I read a lot. I read a lot, and I don't see a huge difference between him and like a lot of other authors. Like I'm not so like I can't read this. The prose are too bad. Like I don't
know what
get it.
pros are. What does that mean? Like,
That's another thing. I think it's the way he says things.
okay. Because I know pros.
Let me Google what are pros.
Because I know pros from like speech and debate. Like I've helped out with that at our school, and don't know that.
Written or spoken language in its ordinary form without metrical structure. Another term for sequence. To talk tediously, compose in, or convert into prose. So yeah, I think it's just the way that people talk in his books. CJ said, I'm a Rothfuss guy, so I have to give Sanderson shit. Absolutely. CJ, did you see the thing where Brandon Sanderson, he likes to drop it on bookstores and randomly sign his own books. And he said that he was talking to Patrick Rothfuss about it because they're best friends, and he was talking to him about it. And Rothfuss was like, "Oh yeah, sometimes I go to bookstores and I sign your books." And so Patrick Rothfuss goes to bookstores and signs Brandon Sanderson's books with his signature. So sometimes what you might be surprised to get a Brandon Sanderson book, and it has Brandon's autograph in it, and sometimes it has Rothfuss autograph in it, which I just think is fucking hilarious.
That's funny.
But yeah, anyway, they're best friends, but it's whatever. I haven't read Rothfuss, but I know he's only got like 3 books out. So, I mean, whatever.
Sounds like a scrub to me. I have no horse in this race. I've read neither of them, but
yeah.
I have been like bombarded in the past like year of people being like Brando Santo.
Yeah, I mean, I can't.
And I've heard his Comic-Con his con that he puts on is awesome.
I'm planning to go this year. I'm going to try to, not this year. Is it this year? Next year.
I think it said December.
This year. I'm going to try to get tickets this year. I missed them out. I missed them last year. I wanted to be there for the release of Wind and Truth because they released the book like the night after. So the con Saturday, let's see. The con started on Friday and the book released on Saturday. So they did like a live release at the con, which I would have loved to have been there for.
But someone who was there said they did a really cool thing where it was like there's like an activity that involves like talking to other people.
They had a
passport.
Very like
interactive. Yeah, passport.
There was a passport for the con
like,
where you had to get stamps.
That seems really cool. Like
for interacting inside the show, which I think is brilliant and
well thought out for like a con in its early days.
And am not afraid to say that I'm trying to figure out a way to steal that for my own show, for sure. I think a Comic-Con passport of some kind would be really cool, and I'm trying to figure out how to make that happen. But anyway, doesn't matter. But anyway, that is our hit list for this week. Next week we are going to do our 5 favorite Nintendo games. We'll check that off of the list. So next week, 5 favorite Nintendo games. That could be for any of the Nintendo systems, no judgment. Or, if it's like a one-off arcade release that was Nintendo 2, I guess you could use that. But anyway, That is the hit list for this week. Welcome back to the show. That does it for us. Jenn, thank you for being a part of the show. I hope that the first episode wasn't too bad for you.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you to each and every one of our viewers, the people in the comments, even if you were watching without commenting, thank you for being here. We appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're watching it after the show's gone down from being live, like if you're a post stream watcher, we appreciate you too. We couldn't do the show without you guys, and we love and appreciate each and every one of you. Landon, you got anything you want to say to the nice folks?
I don't have much to say other than my weekly thing of thanking all of you for being in the chat. Thank you for interacting with us. Like I said, Randy, Danny, Jen, and I would do this show and just talk to nobody, but you all actually make it a show, and it's fantastic. And just one more time, welcome again, Jen, to the show.
Thank you.
Jen, would you like to say anything to the folks?
No, thanks for showing up. Thank you guys for having me on. And I don't know, everybody stay nerdy.
No, you're not. We didn't have you on. You live here now.
Oh.
And Randy, anything you want to say?
Thanks for having me again and putting up with me. And I hope to be brought back.
God, shut up, Randy. You
Yeah.
live here too. I've been very clear that everyone now has to
At
be
least
here every
loosen the
week
chain
from
that
now
I'm
on,
bolted to the
and
desk.
it is
with.
not optional. But anyway, thank you guys so much. You guys have been great, and we've been Cutting Edge Hero.
See y'all.
Bye.